Hey, look, it's Cathie Wood on CNBS about to discuss everybody's favourite topic, Tesla.
Tesla.
Yes.
Where are you on Tesla at this point? You've been a bull for a very, very long time. We're at $287.
Yes. Well, as we have put out there, our target in 5 years, so 2030 again, is $2,600. And our confidence in that number has gone up now that Tesla is commercializing robotaxis in August, in June. What we don't have in that number and what is happening faster than we expected, and as you know, we're very focused on learning curves and how quickly new technologies are going to evolve. Humanoid robots. And Elon has been talking about that market being bigger, ultimately, than the robotaxi market. And he talks about...
No shit, Sherlock. Useful humanoid robots at scale that continue become more capable and more intelligent will allow humanity to directly scale productivity, output, the acquisition and implementation of new knowledge, new techniques, new technology, with a sum total of knowledge, production, wealth created by humanity thus far has required two ingredients, intelligence and labor. Useful humanoid robots will allow those same ingredients to scale near infinitely at a stupendous rate, the impact of which is truly unfathomable. My favourite chart to show the doubters global GDP over time, going back roughly 2,000 years. This is, in essence, the total output of the world economy per year over the last 2,000 years. A few things happened that enabled world GDP to go from approximately fuck all for nearly 2,000 years to then head almost vertically, no end in sight. Our population grew enormously in this time. On screen now, estimated global population roughly 2,000 years ago, best estimate around 188 million. We can see a very similar trend here. Looks fairly flat and then suddenly heads vertically in the last 100, 200 years. So number one, a shitload of additional humans equals a shitload of additional labour, intelligent labour. What else has happened? What else has happened is the compounding effect of all of humanity standing on the shoulders of giants. Incremental improvements beget incremental improvements. This compounds over time. A new technology is implemented, a new innovation, a new technique, a new material is discovered, new technology is created. This compounds. This is a very clear and obvious trend. More people with brains and bodies, and you have runaway global GDP growth. If you thought this looked crazy, seeing GDP head vertically, you have no fucking idea what's around the corner with humanoid robots. Don't get me wrong, autonomy is a massive opportunity, but cars that can drive themselves, essentially robots on wheels, are a small subset of the global economy. Transport as a service. Increasingly useful, increasingly capable, and dexterous humanoid robots over time will be able to do anything we can do better. And yes, that also includes our wives. Now, this was a long detour, but it's really important because Cathie Wood earlier said that their $2,600 per share price target for Tesla stock, that's their fair valuation. They're not predicting that's what the stock's going to be worth. They're just saying, we believe that the company would be fairly valued at this point if X, Y, and Z assumption play out. And they've got those assumptions on their website. Go check out their valuation model. But Cathie has taken pains to explain that this does not include a cent of valuation for Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot. Nothing. And then she's acknowledged, rightly so, that Elon Musk believes, accurately I might add, that opportunity will dwarf the rest of Tesla's existing business, including successfully scaling a robotaxi fleet globally. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Humanoid robots at scale, the revenue, the profits generated, the value created here will make the rest of Tesla's business, including a massive global fleet of millions of robotaxis, look like a rounding error. I often speak in hyperbole. This is not one of those cases. I mean that in a literal sense. The last point I want to make on this before we get back to Cathie is this. Progress in scaling a fleet of humanoid robots will inevitably move much faster than Tesla is able to scale an autonomous vehicle fleet. Here's why. The stakes are much lower with humanoid robots. You have a multi-thousand-ton death machine on wheels, a vehicle, and it makes a mistake. It could kill someone. It could injure someone. It could permanently disable somebody. The stakes are so extremely high that the technology needs to be near perfect, at least significantly better than humans, under every conceivable possible set of conditions, every circumstance, thoroughly tested and rolled out extremely cautiously and conservatively, meaning Tesla has to go to great lengths and take an extreme amount of time, be extremely measured in the rollout. That's not to say they're almost there, and this is going to happen faster than a lot of people think. It's taken almost a decade to get to this point. But contrast that with a humanoid robot. If it's imperfect, if its vision system has a few bugs or flaws, it's not perfect, the stakes are much lower. First and foremost, Tesla's humanoid robots first won't be out on public roads. They'll be working in Tesla's own factories. They're already doing that. That's how they train them. They don't need to be operating on roads with other road users to learn and become capable. Tesla can train these things in their own factories in a warehouse type situation, then next minute, once they've nailed this, they can start selling and or leasing these to other customers with similar conditions, factories, warehouses, and so on, and incrementally add capabilities over time. But the far more important point here, in terms of how high the stakes are or aren't with humanoid robots, if you have a multi-thousand ton vehicle on roads and it fucks up and it kills somebody, I mean, it doesn't get worse than that. If you have a robot and its software is not perfect, it's probably just retarded or annoying at most. You might lose a little bit of productivity. Oh no, the fucking retarded robot knocked some shit over again. God damn it, this robot sucks. That's very different from somebody ending up dead. This gives Tesla the option, and every company trying to produce humanoid robots, a much faster path forward. They don't need to roll them out as cautiously. There's a huge difference between a death machine and an annoying fuck. It's also true that a humanoid robot initially operating in a factory or a warehouse type condition faces far less complexity than a vehicle operating on real roads in the real world under all weather conditions, running into edge cases constantly. My point, it would be a huge mistake to use the pace at which Tesla has progressed with autonomy, spanning roughly a decade from first intent to first commercial operation. It'd be a very big mistake to use that as a measuring stick for how quickly they'll be able to scale up and then eventually begin commercializing, e.g. selling to external customers, a fleet of useful humanoid robots.
About Tesla being number one globally when it comes to humanoid robots, and also says that China is number 2 to 10. So we have to get moving on that score as well. We think that's a $26 trillion revenue opportunity split between home and industrial in the next 5 to 10 years.
That was a big ass number, trillion with a T. I would say deca $1 trillion number. Let's try and frame this. If Tesla stock is $2,600 per share, roughly half a decade from now, it's a little over a $9 trillion market cap, just on autonomy at $2,600 a share. And that's market cap. Unless I hallucinated, I can best believe the humanoid robot opportunity in a fairly short time frame, we're not talking multiple decades into the future, itself could represent $26 trillion of revenue. Did I imagine that? In case you're not particularly familiar with how valuations work, let's just say a company captured, 20% of that. That'd be 5.2 trillion with a T, trillion dollars of revenue. Depending on how profitable that revenue is, e.g. how much of that falls to the bottom line. By the way, if you're selling a lot of humanoid robots and you're charging per month for the software to operate them, it's almost free money, a lot of it. You can expect a pretty high multiple. So if a company captures 20%, let's call that $5.2 trillion, the multiple assigned just to the humanoid robot business could be many times that 5.2 trillion. I'm not great at math, that's why I make videos, but this is pretty simple stuff. A 4 times the multiple on over $5 trillion itself would result in a roughly $20 trillion market cap. 6 times multiple, roughly $30 trillion. It sounds a little absurd. So what are we looking at on screen now? US companies by market cap back in 2010. The biggest of the bunch, $314 billion market cap, followed by Microsoft at $260 billion and Apple at $200 billion. Well, what do we have here? Fast forward a decade and a half. Largest market cap, $3.26 trillion, followed by roughly $3 trillion. Another not far off $3 trillion. Amazon just over $2 trillion and Google almost $2 trillion. So 15 years later, we've seen companies in the top handful by market cap in the US increase roughly 10 times on average. Obviously some more than others, but we've gone from the best, the highest market cap, just over 300 billion, and Microsoft 260, Apple 200. Look at the run from Microsoft, 260 billion to 3.26 trillion, well above a 10x. Now the reason I'm pointing this out is just in case your gut reaction, oh, there's no way that's going to happen, that's ridiculous, bro, what the fuck, $30 trillion. But again, I'm not very good at math, but I do know how to add a zero to the end of a number. So another 10x, say, on some of these companies, and we'll be talking about 32 trillion, 30 trillion, 28.5 trillion, 20 trillion. Oh, and spoiler alert, remember that whole technology compounding thing? Rate of progress, growth, value acquisition is accelerating. This doesn't mean that will see Tesla's market cap surge to 10, 20, 30 trillion dollars. But if history is anything to go by, given what we understand now about population growth, the compounding effect of technological improvement over time, and the scaling effect of useful, intelligent, and increasingly intelligent humanoid robots over time, it's certainly possible. Yet, based on today's valuations for companies like Tesla, I'd say 99% of investors don't really think this is going to happen. I mean, if they did, they probably would have been buying Tesla stock hand over fist with every spare cent non-stop, and maybe even telling everybody that's what they were doing, so that 10, 20, 30 years in the future, they will have approximately zero regrets. Oh man, I really wish I had have bought a little bit more. No, they'll be like, well, I literally bought everything I possibly could with every spare cent. Would not change a thing. So we'll get back to Cathie in a moment, but I just want to point something out, because every single time I hear her throw out these kind of numbers, I see the same reaction. It's a non-reaction in the media. It doesn't compute. Zero people who have this conversation with Cathie Wood in the mainstream really actually genuinely believe that she believes what she says. They don't. They can't possibly. If they did, if Andrew believed, he'd be like, wait a fuck, what? Hey, what? Hang on. You just said $26 trillion? So let's just say we put a multiple on that. A company that takes a very small slice, like 20% of this week, we're talking like a 20, 30 plus trillion dollar market cap on conservative multiple. What? 10 times bigger than Nvidia, Microsoft? What? But of course, I don't think that's the reaction we'll get from Andrew or anyone Cathie talks to, at least not in the next few years. It's too big. They just, there's no way. Subconsciously, they won't even acknowledge that that's a possibility. Because if they thought it was possible, you'd think that they do a massive 2-hour special with Cathie Wood running through the numbers behind ARK's estimates. They do an entire segment on this after all. CNBS are here to tell you about markets and investing, and actually, they're really just here to generate fees in the Wall Street fee machine by creating buying and selling activity. But let's pretend that their goal was to educate and inform investors, blah, blah, blah. You'd think they'd really take the time to do a massive deep dive on this, right? These are unheard of numbers. But you never see a response that indicates the person that's heard from Cathie or anybody talking about this stuff even thinks that they think that what they're saying is realistic, possible even. I understand the hosts and the anchors being skeptical, but they seem so nonchalant. They have a guest on here who actually believes, based on the research ARK are doing, $26 trillion revenue opportunity. There's no way they think Cathie actually believes in the research of ARK's team. Because otherwise they'd ask, they'd dig. Has there ever been a greater opportunity? Spoiler alert, no. But please tell us more about Elon's political opinions and how that's affecting Tesla's brand.
It's going to be a huge market. And the reason Tesla is ahead of the game is we're talking about the three platforms it's already innovating on. Robots, robotaxis are robots, energy storage, they will be electric, and AI. Those are the three technologies in the humanoid robot movement as well.
I wanted to ask you about Palantir, because I know that...
Bro, just listen to what just happened, right? She's just finished going on her $26 trillion, blah, 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 and here's why Tesla's going to dominate because it's got the three pieces of the puzzle, blah, blah, blah. Very obviously, clearly, they're going to take a huge slice of this, move faster than anyone else. It's massive. And in response, Andrew, and look, in his defense, I'm sure the editor's in here, bro, quick ask her about Palantir. He said nothing at all about this $26 trillion revenue opportunity or Tesla having the three pieces of the puzzle. He literally just immediately moves into asking a question about an unrelated company. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm telling you, no one believes. No one even thinks that a quadrillionth of this opportunity is feasible. It boggles the mind. I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that in the future, there's a few investors out there who will probably have approximately 26 trillion regrets. I'm not going to be one of them. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.